Hi again, Brett Ridge, Dave Creighton Jr. with you here on another Hawkeye Huddle Extra powered by Iowa Telecom. Of course, you can catch us each week from 5 to 6 on AM 940 out of Des Moines or on the HawkeyeHuddle.com around the world with our podcast, the most popular Hawkeye podcast in the entire world. Well, David, the sky has fallen. The Iowa Hawkeyes went down this week. The Iowa State Cyclones in a 15 to 13 game that nobody saw coming. You know, I think no matter how you looked at it, you didn't figure out a way you could slice it up and see the Cyclones coming at them. And it actually happened. It went down, and now we're left to deal with what looks to be a little bit of a mess of an Iowa football team.
Well, there's clearly a meltdown in Iowa fandom, and they're calling for heads in some of these things. Barometric pressure and strange things happen in Ames, Iowa, and it happened again this weekend. Ames in Iowa State comes out and brings their game when it comes to the Iowa Hawkeyes. Brett Meyer looked like an All-American, probably the best game he'll play for the balance of his career. And then, of course, Iowa's defense keeps them in there. The Hawks get a chance, blow it late. Just a tough loss. Well,
you know, when you take a look at it, you're right. I thought Iowa State really did play a lot better. Now, there are things Iowa could have done. It comes down to making plays, and the coaches, I think, have taken a lot of heat and will take some more heat. But we've talked about it before. A lot of people don't like the we do what we do attitude. But I'll tell you what, when they do what they do well, and they do it and execute it, they would win this game. They would win most games. Do what you do.
Right.
Either way, the Hawks, if they do what the coaches ask them to do, they will win these games. So you got to put it more on the players. But the offensive line was tough. I thought certainly that Jay Christensen had a tough day. And Iowa State played better. You put it all together, sort of a perfect storm.
Well, a perfect cyclone, if you will. Yeah. And the thing of it is that Iowa had an opportunity to win that game. They got ahead with 3.5 minutes to go. You have to hold on to beat teams like that you're supposed to beat. And they were unable to do it on Saturday.
All right. Okay, coming up this weekend then, the Hawks travel to Madison, Wisconsin. They'll take on the Wisconsin Badgers, 9th ranked in the country, 7th depending on what poll you're looking at, in Camp Randall Stadium. The Hawks have had luck there. They've won the last two up there, the last couple times they've been up there. And over the course of time, they've won 21 out of 28 from the Wisconsin Badgers, which is pretty good considering Wisconsin, I think, is 10th over the last 10 years in total victories in the NCAA, which is pretty impressive.
I did not know that.
Yeah, 82 games between the two teams so far, dead even, 40-2. This is a good Wisconsin team. It's a solid Wisconsin team. It's also a beatable Wisconsin team.
Well, the Citadel was put into Wisconsin this weekend and this past weekend, and
tied 21 all at halftime with a 1AA team.
UNLV had an opportunity to beat Wisconsin the week before. Wisconsin played pretty well against Washington State, which I'm not sure we've seen much of anything out of them. So the question becomes, can Iowa bounce back after an emotional loss and kick it up a notch? Now, the mantra of the Iowa football team is the next game. We're always focused on the next game. So in the event that they really are in that manner, then this game shouldn't be that big of a deal in terms of bouncing back. You're right, Iowa has had success, won 4 of the last 5 in Wisconsin, so that breeds hope. However, Jake and the offense have got to figure some things out because the defense cannot carry this team forever.
Well, certainly the things that need improvement are going to be the offensive line and the quarterbacking, because that's where you were seeing plays missed on Saturday. Obviously, they're relational. They go together. A lot of young guys in there. We'll see who might come back for the Hawks this week. Maybe Dace Richardson is back on the defensive line. Well, as you look around the Big Ten, and we have looked around the Big Ten now for 3 weeks, obviously Michigan a little bit down this year, although I think there's more talent there than they've indicated. They came back and won. You look at some of the other teams in the Big Ten, Minnesota struggled and got beat the other day by Florida Atlantic. They've struggled with some MAC teams, but then everybody else has seemed to hold form and still won some games in there like they should. Indiana looks better. Illinois looks a little bit better. Who are you surprised by so far?
Honestly, Purdue. Purdue is really, really looking very strong. Now, they have had the opportunity to play, I think, all their games at home, but Painter is doing a great job at quarterback. I got a chance to see some of their game on Saturday, and they look really, really good. Now, it all depends on who you're playing, you know. I think Ohio State really showed something by going out to Washington and competing and beating UW out there. That's not an easy thing to do.
After having trouble with Akron, they certainly did go out and just spank them pretty good out there in Washington. And Washington had played much better so far this year. There is some talent out there, so Ohio State back on track probably.
I think Northwestern losing was kind of a surprise to me this past weekend. And obviously Minnesota has not yet adjusted to their new football coach.
Duke takes care of Northwestern this weekend. That's their first victory in 24 games. So Duke off the schneid, as it were.
Certainly Duke is Duke.
Yes, and they're on TV more times than Leave It to Beaver. But aside from that, Indiana has looked better. They went out and won a big game this week over Western Michigan. They pounded them pretty good. And Michigan State has looked much better. They squeaked by Pittsburgh. Not a great Pittsburgh team, but a good Pittsburgh team. So certainly the Hawks will have their hands full when they head into Big Ten play this week up in Madison and as they move on down the road. You can hear us talking about all of it on AM 940 on the Hawkeye Huddle, Tuesdays at 5, or on the HawkeyeHuddle.com around the world with our podcast powered by Iowa Telecom.